Hello and welcome to another episode of Hypnopompic State, a series of short videos developed for the Dreamscope Artist Toolkit. We are Alex
and Leo, foreign artists and fabricators starting a business in the UK. Together we form like Voltron to become Hypnopomp, a company making guitars and what have you for the discerning consumer. Today we're discussing the three pillars of good work: creativity, expertise, and motivation. Follow us down, dear viewer, as we share some of the glorious knowledge we've gleaned through trial and error.
Are you a doer or a dreamer? You probably know people who fit neatly into these extremes: the highly effective manager that can organize just about anything or anyone under the sun, but who shies away from out-of-the-box strategies, or the spacey writer who never quite gets around to putting down that screenplay they talk about ad nauseum anytime there's a drink in dangerous proximity.
We're coming from the dreamy artist standpoint, so our advice comes from experience. The thrust of what we've learned is originality isn't enough. It has to be useful and actionable. Any pursuit, whether artistic or in the realms of science, technology, commerce, or otherwise, can be creative. You need not only that creativity, but also the expertise and motivation to make it happen. Let's break these ideas down.
Firstly, creativity. What is your unique approach to problem solving? There's a common thread in computer programming that illustrates this point particularly well. Often new proprietary and revolutionary code is really just an amalgam of smaller bits that are used all over the place, but just haven't been used in tandem. This example also highlights the fact that creativity is mostly domain-specific. Your ability to be creative in a given field is directly proportional to your ability in that field.
However, it does help to have other interests that can add to your skill set, whether they're similar or dissimilar. Many creators, like us, also enjoy botany or biology or baking. These interests can run parallel to your main pursuit, informing, enriching, or even combining with it. But in order for that enrichment to mean anything, you'll need requisite domain-specific experience. And that brings us to our next thread.
Expertise. In gaming terms, this is how much XP you've earned. What level are you? How good are you at this skill? How much time have you consciously put into cultivating a strong sense of your field? Often this is mixed up with the concept of talent, but they are inherently different ideas. While natural aptitude is a welcome leg up, it's the work you put in that really counts. Nobody got good at speaking a new language by sitting around thinking about how great it would be if they could speak Mandarin.
Which finds us at the final of the trio, motivation. Perseverance is absolutely key, as is forming habits conducive to continued application of your skill. On the other hand, just as useful is knowing when to put the work down and come back with fresh eyes. Burnout is very real for all of us, and while it's important to work hard, it's just as important to work smart.
Motivation is often lumped in with creativity, but it's an aspect all its own. If you aren't motivated to do something, you aren't going to have the kind of interest needed to be creative. We often refer to this as a passion, an intrinsic drive to keep at a task. In addition, just like creativity and expertise before, motivation is specific to the skill you're applying. You can't turn a passion for editing film into a passion for sewing. Identifying the tasks you enjoy most, then cultivating them into habits, can make it easier to become self-sufficient in your craft.
Now, to apply these concepts to our binary hypothetical archetypes, beginning with the dreamer. As many ideas as you might have, you won't be able to successfully execute all of them. It's vital to write down the ones that you think have potential. Chances are, if you're a dreamer, you've forgotten most of the ideas you've had simply because there are too many to keep track of, especially when your filing system is those piles of paper around your bed. If you develop a system for writing down and categorizing what you come up with, you have a much better chance at filtering them and making progress on the worthy ones. Extreme dreamers in particular need to practice killing their darlings, combining raw idealism with a healthy dose of pragmatism.
Once you've decided what ideas to pursue, we come to a motivational downfall of a lot of dreamer types. The perfect idea now conceived, there is a sense of accomplishment that can deaden your instinct to actually see it through. In your head, it's already done, without having to deal with all the pesky real-life details and effort that it actually takes. It is vital to persevere at this stage. This can also be applied to what you tell other people. Explaining the idea and saying that you'll do it can have a negative correlation with finishing the job, as, again, this counts in your brain as actually accomplishing something. Recall the writer at the end of the bar who never quite finishes that screenplay.
One of the primary tactics for accomplishing a multifaceted and time-consuming task is breaking it into small, achievable chunks. This gives you a healthy dose of confidence and achievement to fuel you as you check items from the list, helping to prevent frustration and burnout. Clearly defined goals also give a better sense of the whole. Many dreamers fall into the optimistic trap of an easy road ahead. Indulging in the desired shiny future ignores possible obstacles and therefore masks the necessity to act with consistent applied effort. A good rule of thumb is to assume that bringing the idea into fruition will take 10% more time, effort, and resources than expected. With any luck, you'll be wrong and all will be well.
Doers, on the other hand, are unlikely to have these problems. From your history of accomplishing things, you have a far more realistic and sometimes accurately pessimistic perspective on what it takes to actually accomplish an idea. You know your way around a calendar, you make lists, break down tasks into chunks, and have an aptitude for sharp focus. You are more likely to exist in the here and now rather than indulge in fantasies, and are likely to be aware of upcoming obstacles, making you naturally more consistent than our dreamers.
However, problems often arise in feeling comfortable with risking ego or reliable outcomes for an idea. Your conscientiousness and focus, while generally an asset, can be limiting. Many people will brush this off with I'm just not a creative person, there's no point. But to reiterate, creativity is not artistic talent. Finding a way to apply creativity in your given field doesn't mean painting a picture, but it does mean finding a space in which to apply that creativity. While it's important to take a chance to engage with your inner self in a serene and non-judgmental manner by, say, meditating, running, lifting, listening to music, playing a video game, or finding some other outlet for self-expression, practicing creativity has to maintain the domain specificity we mentioned before. Be an active learner. If you're at a loss, we'll bet you dollars to donuts there are people on the internet who have asked and answered any questions you may have.
Regardless of what your strengths or weaknesses might be, we'd like to leave you with a couple more pieces of advice for today. In tandem with all we've mentioned already, things like your physical environment often have quite the impact too. I know this from personal experience. For years, I worked in squalor, my workspace a maze of crumpled papers, piled art supplies, and discarded artwork. Changing that, cleaning up my studio, and organizing my creative process affected not only my work positively, but other aspects of my life as well. Your workplace and your mindset are inherently linked. Even if it's spattered with paint, try to keep things tidy.
Finally, prioritize surrounding yourself with people who possess the qualities that you admire or need to build on. By keeping with people who have different skill sets, personality types, and positive characteristics, you not only make it likely that you'll adopt some of their beneficial traits, but also ensure that whatever venture you're undertaking together will have a healthy dose of both the dreaming and the doing. Just remember that to make it work, you need to be the same kind of inspiring, positively influential individual to them. That, and possess the kind of understanding nature that will prevent you from murdering each other if, say, you disagree about the content of your YouTube channel for the week.
Yeah. So, dear viewer, thank you kindly, as always, for watching. We'll be back next week with some fresh new content about the history of the famed Flying V guitar, yet another in a line of completely unrelated topics. Until then, keep your dreams firmly grounded in reality, but not so close to the ground that they're buried 6 feet under.